I am Jenna Bosonko, and this is Qtv News, coming to you live from our studios along Caraba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main local, business, international, and sports news headlines. In advance of Monday's celebration, the UTG School of Social Sciences and Humanities Students Association joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. The Ministry of Petroleum and Energy held a day-long validation forum on a draft strategic plan 2021-2025. In business news, in a business climate badly affected by COVID-19, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee meets to assess economic development and monetary policy. In international news, Senegal authorities suspend operations of 2 private TV stations as protests continue over the stripping away of the parliamentary immunity from opposition leader Ousmane Sonko, who faces a rape charge. 4 months after violence-marred presidential elections, Ivory Coast prepares for parliamentary elections. In sports news, we take an in-depth look at the weekend's conclusion to the AFCON Under-20 tournament, where Ghana and Uganda battle it out for the top prize. Well, those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you for joining us. The School of Social Sciences and Humanities Students Association of the University of the Gambia on Wednesday joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day in advance in the form of a symposium. Omar P. Jallo was there and he files in this report.
The labor movement to become a UN-recognized annual event. The day is celebrated each year on the 8th of March to celebrate how far women have come and recognize and appreciate the important roles of women in social, political, economics, and cultural development of every country. The president of the UTG Student Union, Usman Jase, said the event is to inspire participants, especially the young, to recognize and appreciate the rights and roles of women in society, which could in turn bridge the gender gap and call for more women participation in politics and decision-making processes. The Speaker of the National Youth Parliament, Omar Champion Cham, said men should be a force to advance women's progress, adding that women should no longer be cheerers of political leaders, but should be active participants in politics and hold decision-making positions.
Where the issue of women empowerment, the issue of condemning violence, and the issue of providing the opportunities for all women is enhanced and guaranteed. It is therefore paramount that as students of the University of the Gambia, we take it as a responsibility to take part in driving the access of women, in driving the interests of women, and as well the welfare of women.
Mariama Singate, a counsel at the TRRC, and Mariama Jobate, CEO of Fankanta Organization, both believe that the societal perception about women is what slows down their advancement, as they are usually kept in bondage and suppression by our cultures, religions, and traditions.
The perception that society has about a woman's success are some of those things that hinder gender equality. It's like a psychological thing. It's inbuilt in your mind that the guy always knows better. And that is not how we as a society should be looking at ourselves, especially women.
The president of the School of Social Sciences and Humanities Studies Association of the University of the Gambia, Andrew Mendy, said women are more vulnerable when it comes to gender inequity and gender-based violence and called for an end to it. Delivering the closing remarks, Aisa Jallo, the Gender and Health Minister of the association, said the event is part of the association's efforts to amplify the voices of women and girls in the Gambia.
According to the theme, which is enabling equality, we didn't just invite you here to enjoy the program and listen. We want you people to be the ambassadors of this event, to go out there and preach to your fellow students, tell them about it, to my fellow university students that are in different faculty houses, to talk to them about enabling equality for a better Gambia.
The seeds of celebrating the day was planted in 1908 when 15,000 women marched through New York City demanding short working hours, better pay, and the right to vote. But the day was first celebrated in 1911 in Australia, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland. However, The day's celebration was made official in 1975 when the United Nations started celebrating the day. In many countries, the day is marked with marches and other festivities. It is an official public holiday in 21 countries, including Gambia's near neighbor Guinea-Bissau. In China and Madagascar, it is public holiday only for women. This year, the theme of the celebration is Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Interesting. Happy International Women's Day in advance. Now, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy held a day-long validation forum on a draft strategic plan 2021-2025. The aim of the forum is to review the draft document, ensuring it has captured key issues ahead of finalization. Momodu Gajaga has the rest of that.
As the demand for energy increases, stakeholders gather to strategize ways to improve the energy needs of a growing population. The strategic plan is intended to deliver on Strategic Priority 5 of the National Development Plan NDP 2018-2021, which aims at building our infrastructure and restoring energy services to power our economy, as well as delivering on the associated objectives of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and the African Union Agenda 2063.
For us to be able to attain our objectives and goals, we need to devise a strategic plan after identifying the visions to set out the mission of the ministry. This is why we are here to validate the 2021 to 2025 strategic plan of the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy. Before getting to today's event, a lot of activities took place. We started from identifying the need, developing the TOR, doing the procurement process, hiring the consultants who happen to be all Gambians.
Gambia's energy sector is facing a series of challenges, which include poor infrastructure, underfunding, and a lack of investment, leading to deficiencies in energy delivery, especially in the electricity sector.
See, every day the demand for energy is growing. And to meet this demand, we have to put all hands on deck to make sure we provide the most reliable, affordable electricity to our population for growth and development. Because without energy, industrialization is not possible.
The draft document is also aimed at devising ways to make the country's energy sector viable. The missions are: in energy, to ensure the provision of adequate, affordable and reliable energy services and clean cooking fuel in a sustainable manner. In petroleum, to drive optimal benefit from the petroleum value chain by sustainably promoting, regulating and managing the efficient and effective conduct of petroleum operations. In geology, to provide efficient geological services, explore, evaluate and harness our mineral resources to enhance infrastructural and sustainable socio-economic development.
I wish that at the end of this workshop, we will produce a strategic plan which, if implemented successfully, will better enhance our focus and strongly strengthen the synergies between the activities of the energy, petroleum and mineral sector, thereby leading to a revitalized economy and well-being for all our citizens.
For a sustainable energy sector that will bring economic growth, the right investment must be done, as well as harness technology to modernize the energy sector, ensuring demand matches supply. Momodu Gajaga, QTV News.
The management and staff of the Bakau Health Center held their annual data presentation and first award ceremony since the establishment of the health center. Yaya Jawa has the rest of that.
The health center's officer in charge, Fatou Sanyan, says the annual data presentation is geared towards bringing together stakeholders from the health sector community for a ceremony that serves as an opportunity to give feedback on the health center's successes and challenges, especially in relation to non-communicable diseases, NCDs, due to the impact of COVID-19. She highlighted the significance of available data in doing their work effectively and efficiently.
Data is very, very important. It helps you to know the disease pattern of a community, of the users of the facility. It is through the data that we know that we have so many patients that are coming to our facility with non-communicable diseases, that is diabetes and hypertension, which is globally is a problem. Without data, we would not have been able to have that data to know on the whole our community, most of our patients coming to our facility have either diabetes or hypertension.
She also spoke on the importance of the awards ceremony, the first of its kind for the health center.
There are so many factors that motivate people, like advancement, pay, and recognition is part of it. So giving them award is showing them that they are being recognized for the hard work they have been rendering to the facility.
Bakau Old Town's Ward Councillor Lamin Diba described the event as a worthy one. He says recognizing the efforts of health workers and providing relevant data to the public is a step in the right direction, and urged the people of Bakau to make best use of the health facility.
All that have been provided here is provided for them. The nurses and the doctors that are here, they are here for our people. But if the facilities have not been utilized, it means it's just an white elephant project. And that's what we don't want to see. Because they have been complaining that our people now, instead of coming here, they prefer to go to Serekunda Health Center. And that shouldn't be. These people are hardworking.
Alhaji M. Jallo, the Vice Chairman of Bakau Community Development Committee, says the health center is the first point of call for the people of Bakau, thus they need to support the management and staff. He said his committee is aware of the challenges that the health center faces.
We are very much aware of the difficulties that the health center is going through, or that you people have. And this is why we are committed as a development committee to render assistance in order to make this health center quite effective and efficient. So you can be assured that you have a partner in the development committee, and we are speaking on behalf of the Bakau community to offer our support behind you.
Omar Baji, the non-communicable diseases NCD's focal person from the Directorate of Health Promotion in the Gambia, had this to say.
NCDs are on the increase by day because of the risk factors are on the increase. And we should always remember that the risk factors of today are the diseases of tomorrow. This goes together. And when you look at the Gambia, especially on diabetes and the hypertension, these two diseases are cousins. There is no NCDs that have cure, and it's a lifelong disease.
At the end of the ceremony, staff were awarded certificates for their hard work, commitment, and dedication to duty. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
Well, congratulations to the awardees. From that, we will take a short commercial break, but still to come, we have business, international, and sports news. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. In business news, now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of the Gambia met on Thursday to assess economic developments and decide on monetary policy amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Omar P. Jallo has the rest of that.
On the global economic outlook, the governor of the central bank, Boasedi, said the IMF's January 2021 World Economic Outlook estimated a global contraction of 3.5% for 2020, which is 0.9 percentage points higher than projected in the previous forecast. This, he said, reflects a stronger than expected momentum in the second half of 2020, as countries adjust to the pandemic through medical interventions and policy support measures across various regions.
In the advanced economies, contraction in output in 2020 was revised to 4.9% from 5.8%. The revision reflects the impact of expansionary policy measures adopted to moderate the effects of the pandemic, as well as the envisaged availability and rollout of vaccines. In 2021 and 2022, advanced economies are forecast to grow by 4.3% and 3.1% respectively.
Delivering on the banking sector development and the domestic debt, Mr. Sedi said the banking sector remains fundamentally sound with high levels of capital and liquidity as the industry rose by 3.5% in total assets on an annualized basis. Total outstanding domestic debt stock as at the end of December 2020 grew by 4.3% to $34.6 billion from $33.1 billion in the corresponding period in 2019.
In the fourth quarter of 2020, the foreign exchange market recorded an excess demand of $5.72 million of foreign currency, indicative of a pickup in economic activity during the period, as fears of the COVID-19 was allayed by the production and rollout of the vaccine.
Sedi said consumer price inflation accelerated in January 2021 because of significant increase in some components of food inflation. Food inflation increased to 9.1% in January 2021 from 8.1% in the corresponding period in 2020. The rise in food prices is explained by the increase in all sub-components of the food basket except for a few. The committee has decided to maintain the policy rate at 10%, maintain the required reserve at 13%, and maintain the interest rate on the standing deposit facility at 2.5% and the standing lending facility at 11.0%. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
From that story by Omar P. Jallo, we now move on to international news. Now, Senegalese authorities have suspended the signals of 2 private TV stations for 72 hours over continuous coverage of the protests in support of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko ordeal. More in this report by Ajibintu Drame.
In shutting down this station, a regulatory authority announcement said they are foiling unrest by constantly looping images of the unrest that has followed the arrest of MP Ousmane Sonko. Most of the trouble has been in Bignona in the southern Casamance region. Sen TV and Wolf TV channels are the 2 private TV stations that suffered the National Audiovisual Regulatory Authority's decision on Thursday. The 46-year-old MP has been accused of raping a beauty salon employee where he went to get a massage, which he denies. The opposition leader has alleged the charge is one of Macky Sall's plot to ensure that he does not run in the next presidential election. There are reports that 1 person died in the violence on Thursday, which has been confirmed by the government. In the 2019 elections, some opposition leaders, including Karim Wade, son of former President Abdoulaye Wade, were excluded from contesting the election, and Mr. Sonko says his accusations is the latest in this pattern. Last week, lawmakers in Senegal voted to strip away Ousmane Sonko's parliamentary immunity so the rape trial could proceed. That decision has divided the country, with some even claiming the decision is a threat to democracy, while others have said the seriousness of such a charge should not allow anyone to hide behind a cloak of parliamentary immunity. If the violence and looting continue, it is difficult to see how TV stations could not report on such serious public order disturbance. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Ivory Coast will return to the polls on Saturday, 4 months after the violence-marred presidential elections. However, there is concern of a possible low voter turnout. Aliou Cisse has the rest of that.
Ivorians will this time be voting in parliamentary elections on Saturday, in which the opposition will participate after boycotting last year's presidential election. Currently, the National Assembly is dominated by the ruling Hufiatist Rally for Democracy and Peace, led by President Alassane Ouattara. For the first time in 10 years, the former President Laurent Gbagbo-led Ivorian Popular Front is contesting the polls as part of a coalition called Together for Democracy and Sovereignty. Gbagbo has remained in exile in Brussels since being released by the International Criminal Court in 2019 over accusations of crimes against humanity committed after losing the 2010 presidential election. The coalition has also allied with the largest opposition party, the Democratic Party for Ivory Coast, led by Henry Konan Bedi, another Ivory Coast ex-president. Being the first election in 10 years in which all significant opposition parties are participating again, observers say it will help to see who has influence among the population. However, the ruling party is predicted to retain most seats as a result of its access to financial and other resources and what many are calling a well-rehearsed election campaign. Also, the opposition did not put forward joint candidates. Many Ivorians will be hoping to have a strong and diverse parliament to change the situation, but also to better hold the president accountable. As they prepare to head to the polls on Saturday, 6 March, there is growing concern of a low voter turnout due to fears of what happened last year, when pre-electoral violence left 87 people dead and nearly 500 wounded in a protest over the re-election of Ouattara for a third term. Who will win the parliamentary seat is for Ivorians to decide, but what is clear is that political parties will use this election as a rehearsal to better position themselves ahead of the next election in 2025. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alou Cissé.
Western Sahara, or the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, located on the northwest coast of Africa, bordered by Morocco, Mauritania and Algeria, has been a disputed territory fought over by Algeria and Morocco for nearly 50 years. In recent months, however, experts have warned that the two North African giants have never been closer to the brink of war.
The Western Sahara conflict is among the forgotten conflicts of the world, according to many analysts, and has eluded resolution for so long that the principles underlying United Nations-led efforts to seek an enduring outcome have become muddied almost to the point of cancelling each other out. The conflict pitches the defense of the right of self-determination of the Sahrawi people against the restoration of Morocco's sovereign control over territory formerly subject to a colonial-era Spanish protectorate. The Sahrawi People's Liberation Movement, known as the Polisario Front, gets its main backing from Algeria. Conflict between the two countries began in 1963 in what is called the Sand War, a series of skirmishes along a sparsely populated area between the towns of Tindouf on the Algerian side and Figig on Morocco's. The war led to 350 deaths and heightened tensions between the two countries for several decades. In 1984, Morocco left the Organization of African Unity, the predecessor of the AU, after the body recognized the independence of Moroccan-occupied Western Sahara. In 2017, it returned. In September 1991, Morocco and the Polisario Front signed a ceasefire, and in the same year, a UN mission was deployed to oversee the ceasefire in a UN settlement plan. However, disagreements between the government of Morocco and the Polisario Front prevented the holding of an anticipated referendum on the territory's future. A revised settlement plan proposed by the United Nations after 7 years of diplomatic consultations was rejected by one of the parties in 2004. Progress on the issue has been at a standstill ever since. But, according to some political observers, Rabat has recently scored a few diplomatic wins. They say the Moroccan kingdom's proactive approach to diplomacy within African institutions has led, in a little over a year, several African countries to open consulates in Western Sahara. In doing so, they have effectively pledged their support to Morocco. And one of Donald Trump's final foreign policy initiatives was to announce that the United States would recognize Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara. And in a deal brokered by the U.S., the kingdom agreed to resume diplomatic relations with Israel, a long-standing taboo for Algeria. The UN Secretary-General Guterres, sensing an escalation in the conflict, noted in his most recent report, dated October 2020, to the United Nations Security Council that the Polisario militias were far less cooperative than in the past. Horst Kohler of Germany, who resigned in May 2019 for health reasons, has yet to be replaced owing to the absence of a candidate suitable to both sides. This means there is no longer a mediator between Algeria and Morocco, while the two North African neighbors square off. This past fortnight in the region, there have been 45th anniversary celebrations of the 1976 self-declaration of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. For QTV News, I am Mamadou Mbouj.
From that story by Mamadou Mbouj, let's take a look at sports. The 2021 Under-20 AFCON tournament hosted in Mauritania comes to an end on Saturday when Ghana locked horns with Uganda for the coveted prize. Alusise has the rest of that.
The tournament, which has seen exciting games with brilliant talent on show, will come to an end on Saturday when Ghana take on Uganda's Hippos at the Olympic Stadium in Nouakchott. Coached by Abdulkarim Zito, Ghana are looking to clinch the title for the first time since 2009 when Andrew Ayew, son of Ghanaian legend Abdi Pele, led his country to the title in Kigali, Rwanda. Ghana has only failed to qualify for the tournament once in 2017 when it was hosted in Zambia. In 2011 and 2019, they were eliminated in the group stages, while in 2014 they lost to Egypt on penalties in the final. They finished fourth in 2015 after losing to Nigeria in the semis before going on to beat Mali 3-1 in the playoff. I could not let the Gambia slap me twice, Coach Zito said after beating the Gambia to progress to the final. However, he admitted the Junior Scorpions had been worthy adversaries. On the other hand, Uganda has been making appearances in almost all AFCON competitions over the years at over 8 groups, but had never qualified for the AFCON Under-20. Against all the odds, they emerged from a strong group which included early favorites Cameroon. Uganda were one of 6 debutants at this age level, the others being host Mauritania, Central African Republic, Mozambique, Namibia, and Tanzania. Therefore, they are also a team to be wary of in the final, as their performance thus far so they could shock their opponents, Ghana. If there are 2 players to watch out for in the final, they are the current top goal scorers, Uganda's Derek Kakuza with 5 goals and Ghana's Pacius Bua with 3 goals. Both players have much more than scoring to their game. While only one country can go home with the trophy, such a tournament can be seen as a stepping stone for these young talents who are aspiring to become professional footballers. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
From that story by Aliou Cisse, we have great news. We have great update for you here as Gambia beat Morocco 3-2 in the Under-20 boys. In the Under-19 African Nations Volleyball Championship. Gambia will face host Nigeria in their next game, while Morocco play against Cameroon in their second game. And currently, Gambia and Tunisia are playing, and as of now, it's 0-0. So before we end this news bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. In advance of Monday's celebration, the UTG School of Social Sciences and Humanities Students Association joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. The Ministry of Petroleum and Energy held a day-long validation forum on a draft strategic plan 2021-2025. In business news, in a business climate badly affected by COVID-19, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee met to assess economic development and monetary policy. In international news, Senegalese authorities suspend operations of 2 private TV stations as protests continue over stripping away of the parliamentary immunity from opposition leader Ousmane Sonko, who faces a rape charge. 4 months after violence marred presidential elections, Ivory Coast prepares for parliamentary elections. In sports news, we took an in-depth look at this weekend's conclusion to the AFCON Under-20 tournament, where Ghana and Uganda battled it out for the top prize. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us tomorrow, same time for more news. Have a great weekend ahead, and thanks for staying with us.